Part 5, the new champion of the royal examination transmigrated into a horror game. I thought it was an otome game. Two twin tentacle monsters, one on the left and one on the right, surrounded me. Sister, you look so delicious. I smiled, patting each of their heads. You two look even more delicious. The demon monk used his snake tail to wrap around me. Amitba, this little monk is about to commit the sin of killing. I poked his abs. Wrong, it's the realm of lust. Standing in front of the new scholar dungeon, my eyes lit up. I didn't expect that a horror game would release an otome game. SS level, the reward is up to 250,000 gold coins. Enjoy the love of top-notch handsome guys, and receive a ton of money. Is there such a good thing in this world? I logged into the game without hesitation, jumping into the pink vortex. The system announced, there are already 100 players, the new scholar dungeon has officially begun. Two people who love each other deeply, why do they need to be together every day? Wishing all players to be intoxicated in this gentle place. Wait. 100 players? For an otome game, isn't that a bit crowded? My name is Li Kuai, a female Taoist priest of the 21st century. My master is from the Xiaoyao sect on Mount Fuming, skilled in spells, charms, and summoning techniques. I'm a super good fighter. I even knocked out two of my master's front teeth. To help my senior sister pay off her debt, I accepted the invitation of a horror game and entered this mysterious game space. If I win, I will receive a large sum of money. If I lose, of course I will lose my life. This is my first time playing an otome game. I hope the guys can give me some advice. The moonlight is poetic, the apricot blossoms are fluttering. I opened my eyes, I was soaking in warm water. The room was filled with misty steam, the wooden bathtub was covered with pink petals. Oh, I was taking a bath. Open the character information panel. You are the daughter of the Li family's minister. Because of your cleverness, you disguised yourself as a man to take the imperial examination and became the top scholar. Favored by the young emperor, chosen to be the prince consort. Gift item, pretending to be a man, card, can increase your height, neutralize your voice. Released once a day. Yeah, otome games are really fun. I am the main character of the dungeon. But if I am the prince consort, then wouldn't my love interest be the princess? While I was still in a daze, there was a sudden knock on the door. Sister, are you done bathing? The young man's voice chuckled. Calling me sister? I quickly opened the character relationships section to take a look. It turned out that I had two half-brothers, Bai Li Qingfeng and Bai Li Haoyue. My father was the minister of the Bai Li clan and my eldest mother were a married couple after remarriage. Our family of 5 was a remarried family. The two of them had a favorability rating of 1000 towards me, and the system had even specially marked them in bright red as bad relationship. The comments were excited, wow, fake incest. Quickly put the puppies in, let me see if they are handsome. Swish, 2 beautiful young men came out of my bathtub. I was so scared that I almost cast a spell to strike them with lightning. After the panic, I quickly covered myself with my clothes. The two of them had exactly the same exquisite faces, and their eyes were curved with laughter. There was a strange desire hidden in the green eyes. One of them leaned in close to sniff me. Sis, you smell so good. The other licked her lips. Sis, you look so delicious. Me. The plot was designed so boldly. The first time I played an otome game, I was really shocked. The comments were screaming. I'm so jealous of the female lead. I want to play this otome game too. Is this an otome game? Isn't it a horror game? Ouch, there are pink bubbles everywhere, what else is it if it's not an otome game? Female lead, quickly pat each of their butts, take the initiative to tease them. Hurry up and pat, quickly pat. I want to see the twins' expressions. Ugh. Is this how otome games are played? It seems I overestimated my endurance. But if I don't increase my favorability, I won't receive the system's reward. In order to help my senior sister repay her debt, I'll risk my life. I mustered up all my courage, patted each of their heads like a dragonfly skimming the water, and tried to force out a smile. You two look even more delicious. The two twins were silent. They looked at each other, both seeing the confusion in each other's eyes. But very quickly, the two of them smiled sinisterly. Sister, you misunderstood us. One of them revealed her sharp fangs. You've bathed yourself, it's the most suitable for skinning and bone peeling, licking and eating. The other drooled. You were born so beautiful, the blood on your neck must be very sweet and delicious, right? While talking and doing, a slimy tentacle extended from the two of them's bodies, wrapping around my waist. Ah. I can't take it anymore. I've never been in love before. Isn't this too fast? Shouldn't an otome game start from innocent and shy feelings? I couldn't control myself. I raised my hand and chanted, wind spell, vines subdue demons. Two vines flew out from nowhere, tightly wrapped around the two teenagers, and hung them upside down from the rafters. The two twins were startled at first, then struggled and cried out. Seeing their favorability towards me change from -1,000 to it changed to 0. Do these two have a tendency to be abused? Early in the morning, I was awakened by the system's notification. Ding, a night passed, 39 players died, 61 players survived. I was startled when I heard it. Can otome games still kill people? Could it be because I offended the person I was supposed to conquer? A feeling of fear and deep regret rose in my heart for my recklessness last night. I was determined to make it up to the Bailey brothers, so I lifted the curtain, but found that the two twins had disappeared. Disappearing was fine. I had to go to the palace to meet the emperor this morning, and then I would appease these two ancestors later. After using the pretending to be a man card given to me by the system, my height had increased by 15 centimeters. Wearing a champion's crown, a purple and yellow brocade robe, and a jade belt. After dressing up, I looked in the mirror, and I looked quite handsome and dashing. The comments started to drool. I have to say, the female lead is so handsome. Neutral beauty, a bit like a fairy. I'm already as crooked as a mosquito. I sat in the carriage eating meat buns, and was taken to the palace gates by the coachman. I wiped the corner of my mouth and stuffed the remaining bun into my chest. Once I entered the palace, I couldn't eat or drink anymore. It affected my demeanor. In Bauha Palace, I knelt on the ground respectfully, pretending not to dare to peek at the emperor's face. Just now, I had secretly glanced at the back of the young emperor, noble and elegant, with both the majesty of an emperor and the innocence of a teenager. Kneeling with me were two people who passed the second and third place exams. The second place exam was named Fong Ling, the third place exam was named Duan Yushua. The two of them were also players. We met on the road. I secretly touched their fingertips. The physical contact made me see the comments in their live stream room. I heard that the little emperor is the final boss. Duan Yushua is doomed this time. The first place exam, the second place exam and the third place exam are the three characters that are easiest to die. Look at that, the first place exam is so handsome. Is he a newcomer? Never seen it before. So the little emperor is the final boss in an otome game, so isn't he the male lead? If I can't conquer him, I'll die? But why would two big men like Fong Ling and Duan Yushua play otome games? I thought for a while and finally understood. They're both gay. I didn't expect that when playing a love game, their love rivals would be two men. The three of us had been kneeling for exactly one full moment since we entered the door, kneeling until our legs were numb. The little emperor had just finished approving the memorial. He seemed to have just noticed us, and slowly opened his mouth. "The three dear ministers, please rise." His voice was extremely gentle and pleasant to listen to. I stood up and raised my head, just in time to meet his cold eyes. His eyes were too cold and icy. Na Lanyi was wearing a dragon robe, sitting in the dark. The morning light did not shine on him at all. But he was still dazzling and heart-stirring, peerlessly noble. The excited comment, "Oh my God! Even more handsome than an A-list celebrity, the little emperor is truly a top-notch product." Hoo, I won't say who's jealous. Before the three of us could stand up straight, the little emperor suddenly let out a dragon's roar, waving his sleeves from afar, sending the three of us flying into the stone pillar. He quickly grabbed me, his cold white fingers tightly squeezing my throat. The other two unlucky guys were tied up by the flying ropes, their faces pale. Na Lanyi lowered his head close to mine, the tips of our noses almost touching. He asked in a low voice, "Player, how do you want to die?" "I will try my best to satisfy you." I was suffocated to the point of not being able to breathe. In a daze, I saw the favorability on top of his head was -10,000. The comments were enthusiastic. "Quickly say you want to die in bed with him." I'm a member, I want to see the details." "Say you want to live and die together with him." "I'm a scumbag, listen to me." This little emperor is very naive. The new audience who entered the live stream room was shocked. "Are you guys crazy? You dare to tease the final boss?" I instinctively wanted to resist, but suddenly remembered the system's death notice this morning. If I accidentally angered the target I wanted to conquer, the system might punish me to death once. After thinking carefully, I looked at him lovingly. I want to die for your majesty. I want to live in the same bed with your majesty, and die in the same grave." The second and third place winners opened their eyes and mouths wide, their mouths wide open, so wide that they could swallow the sun and the moon. The little emperor stiffened, as if struck by lightning. Seeing their reactions, I felt a little smug. Half a day later, the young emperor gritted his teeth and spat out a sentence. "You have the power of Longyang? You still dare to accept a marriage proposal with Luo Yang? I will exterminate your entire family."
Oh no.
I forgot that I was pretending to be a man. Before I could think of an explanation, suddenly a sharp arrow flew in from outside the window, aimed straight at the emperor's chest. "There's an assassin!" I was quick and nimble, hugged him and rolled to the side, using my shoulder to block the arrow for him. Fresh blood flowed out, dyeing the hem of my clothes red. In fact, with my martial arts, I could have easily hugged him and dodged. But for the sake of conquest, I decided to act out a bitter plan. Sure enough, the young emperor supported me and hurriedly shouted, "Send the imperial physician." The second and third place winners were completely dumbfounded. The people on the screen were divided into many factions, arguing loudly. "Wow, little white flower is so good. Now the emperor's heart belongs to her. I learned it, I have to write it down. What are you guys why-whying about? The big boss is a man-eating demon. And who is by Lian Hua? Don't be afraid, I just entered the live stream room. I guess the champion is gay, he has his eyes on the big boss. You upstairs, your guess is really good. Outside, the assassins were being captured, and the second and third place winners were being tied up dejectedly. I lay on the dragon bed, the imperial physician tenderly bandaged my wounds, and the palace maids carefully wiped the cold sweat from my forehead. After everything was handled, the young emperor waved his hand, and the imperial physician and palace maids respectfully hurriedly retreated. Nailan Yi walked back and forth in the bedroom, finally stopping by the window. Outside the window, the sunlight was shining brightly, and a pear tree was in full bloom. A gentle breeze blew by, and the pure white pear petals fell on his shoulders, further accentuating his beautiful appearance. He turned his head and asked doubtfully, "You're not a player? If you were a player, why did you save me?" As if he had understood, the young emperor smiled at me, and said with a bit of guilt, "It was I who wrongly blamed you." But very quickly, he returned to his cold expression. "Li Qing has merit in saving the emperor, but speaking disrespectfully to me is also a crime. Merits and sins are compensated. Your marriage to Luo Yang, I can take it back. But if you dare to mention what you just said again." Na Lanyi silently looked at me, his expression not angry but majestic. I bit my lip and did not speak, pretending to be heartbroken. The young emperor slightly frowned, helplessly rubbing his forehead. Then he clapped his hands, and immediately countless dark shadows rushed in from outside, covering the entire sky, as if night had suddenly fallen. What kind of monster was that? I was stunned. Otome games also had horror elements? "I order you all, do not hurt him." Na Lanyi pointed at me in a deep voice, extremely regal. The favorability on his head had already turned to 5. Saying,
Goodbye.
To Na Lanyi, saying,
Goodbye.
To the 2 unlucky ones who were locked up in the dungeon, Bang Nan and Tam Hoa, I hugged my injured arm and slowly walked towards the palace gate. As I walked, I felt regretful. I said that the targets of conquest were all monsters, why not give them a cute furry animal? Touching the fur must be very soft, very stress-relieving. Just thinking about it makes my heart melt. Passing by the Imperial Flower Garden, a red figure passed by, his figure as graceful as a fairy. That figure had clearly flown far away, but the guards still knelt down and bowed in unison, farewell to the celestial master. The palace maids holding cakes, blushing, stuck their heads out to look. The celestial master is so handsome, have you seen his face clearly? Silly sister, you haven't seen clearly and you're already praising him for being handsome? Look at his back, if he's not a fairy, then what is he? The back of this red-robed celestial master looked familiar. I rode the wind to chase after him. The palace was extremely large. I chased to a remote garden, weeds were growing wildly, moss covered the walls, spiders covered the crossbars. It seemed to have been abandoned for a long time. On the rotten signboard were written 3 rusty words, Kem Duong Dien. As soon as I entered the door, I saw in the ruined palace an extremely handsome demon monk lying on a pile of hay. I was a little surprised. Thenan was a high-ranking official that I knew in the previous dungeon, but I wasn't very close to him. Hearing me call, he opened his eyelids slightly, sneered and glanced at me. "Cake delivered to your door?" His voice was both clear and charming, his words were also strange. I lowered my head, saw a piece of snow-white snake tail hidden in the pile of hay. His lower body had turned into a snake. Wasn't he then in? I took 2 steps back. Boom. The large door behind me suddenly slammed shut. Dust flew everywhere. Thunder rumbled, the wind blew hard, it was about to rain. Someone on the screen wondered, why is Lord Shanin so strange? This red-robed holy monk is definitely not Lord Shanin, he is an NPC created by the system based on his image. Wow, he is the 4th male lead? By Lian Hua, quickly conquer him. My mouth is watering. The holy monk who abstains from sex is the most attractive. Did the people on the screen make a mistake? The demon who looks like Lord Shanin in front of me is abstinent? His bloodshot eyes were filled with desire, he is the embodiment of desire. Like this, it would be very easy to conquer. I coughed lightly, happily running over, here. Seeing that I had no intention of running away, the demon monk was a little surprised. The snake's tail wrapped around my waist, I was tightly surrounded, sticking close to him. I curiously lifted his face, and muttered, "The system made this model really exquisite, even the red mole at the corner of the eye is exactly the same." He pushed my hand away, and stuck out his snake tongue to lick my earlobe. It was very itchy, my heart trembled. Amitba, the little monk wants to break the precepts." The demon monk clasped his hands, revealing his sharp fangs like a snake. Then, he suddenly pressed me down, as if he wanted to eat people. I was stunned. "What do you want to do?" He laughed coldly, "Breaking the precepts." I hugged him and flipped him over, pressed him down on the ground, poked his abs, and corrected him with a smile. "Wrong, it's breaking the lust realm." The demon monk. Thunder rumbled, rain poured down, lightning made the main hall alternately bright and dark. We fought in the ruined palace, each of us had our own advantages. I didn't dare to really fight him, afraid of angering the conquered object, being punished by the system. He was also quite lenient, not knowing what he was afraid of. When he pressed me down again, the cross-dressing card expired. I suddenly transformed back to my original form. My black hair fell down like a waterfall, my lips were red. The demon monk who was about to bite my neck was stunned, his face flushed. "It's you?" I immediately blushed. "Shanine, is it really you?"
Ah.
He's not an NPC. I was so embarrassed I wanted to crawl into the ground. We hurriedly stood up and adjusted our clothes. Even the demon monk Shanine appeared. I realized that the instance I logged into was not an Otome game. Outside, the rain was pouring down. Inside, the candlelight was flickering. Leaning against the rotten door, he told me the whole story. New Scholar is a horror dungeon. After logging in, each player will receive a legal identity. For example, New Scholar, Astronomical Observer, Cult Leader, Pig Butcher, Corpse that just died 1 day ago, Toad, Grassworm, etc. Each person has their own suffering. The dungeon is divided into 3 factions: players, the Naylin royal family, and the Vu Lin evil cult. The 3 factions are enemies of each other, with no allies. After entering the game, players will gradually mutate into demons. When the player completely loses consciousness and becomes a complete demon, the system will declare the player dead. Only the Naylin royal family's treasure, Ice Lake Jade Heart, can completely cure the player's mutation. The amount of information was too much, completely overturning my understanding of this game. The people on the screen were even more bewildered. One group was shocked. "What? This is a horror dungeon, not an Otome game." Another group was stunned. "AAA. The champion is a woman disguised as a man." The people were spamming like crazy. I felt a little dizzy. Shanine supported me. "What's wrong with you?" I asked doubtfully. "Even you have mutated, why haven't I?" His eyes sank, pointing at the top of my head. At that moment, 2 long, fluffy rabbit ears grew on my head. "AAA." I turned into a rabbit. I wanted to touch the fur, but I turned into a furry animal? Shanine laughed. "I've always wondered why the mutation rate of players is so different. Some people mutate into demons as soon as they enter the game, while others are slower. And you only mutate now." Now I know the answer. I rubbed my rabbit ears, and asked blankly, "What's the answer?" He stared at me and said, "The mutation rate depends on the player's understanding of this instance, and the players will ... The more you understand this instance, the faster the mutation. This also means that the closer you are to the truth of the instance, the easier it is to turn into a demon. And the stronger the individuals will to resist the mutation, the slower the mutation. This means that only someone with an extremely strong inner self can break the deadlock and win." I understood what Shanine said. It turned out that I hadn't mutated before, because I had always treated this instance as an Otome game. You could say that I had absolutely no understanding of this game. Bang, the door was pushed open, a beautiful girl like an elegant fairy holding a blue lotus silk umbrella stood at the door. Her dress was wet with dew, her figure was graceful. She was like me, she also grew a pair of rabbit ears. The difference was, her entire head had turned into a rabbit's head, her body was covered in a layer of smooth white fur. "Shanine, we should go." The rabbit girl smiled charmingly. The demon monk brushed the dust off his body, used his snake tail as a support, and twisted away. The rabbit demon glanced at me. "Are you a Taoist?" I nodded. She clasped her hands together, smiling and begging. "I heard that Taoists know how to refine medicinal pills. My comrade was seriously injured. Can you give me some?" This time I entered the dungeon. I brought 3 bottles of medicine, so I gave her 2. The rabbit happily jumped up to thank her. Looking at her adorable appearance, I really wanted to stroke her fur. In the end, I still had to hold back. The pouring rain gradually stopped, and a brilliant sunset spread across half the sky. Looking at the 2 of them disappearing side by side into the evening light, a trace of jealousy rose in my heart. Midnight in the Sherlang mansion, light clouds drifted over the Milky Way. Apricot blossoms were blown away by the wind and rain, covering the ground. The puddles in the courtyard reflected the deep blue sky. I originally intended to drink medicine to heal my wounds, but suddenly I thought of keeping the wound, perhaps it could calm the little emperor's heart. After washing my face, I was about to turn off the lights and go to sleep, when suddenly 2 heads appeared by the window. The twin brothers held candles, the firelight dyeing their faces red. "Sister, the days are short and the nights are long, why don't we light candles and chat together?" Looking at their green eyes, I suddenly remembered what Shanine had told me that afternoon. Players who have completely turned into demons will be declared dead by the system. Were these 2 players dead players? But they had lost their minds. Was there still a chance to revive? Bai Li Qingfeng and Bai Li Haoyue were so excited by my gaze that they kept calling out, "Sister, sister." I beckoned to them, "Come here." The 2 teenagers jumped out the window one after another. Wind spell, demon subduing vine. 2 vines flew out, once again hanging the 2 teenagers upside down on the rafters. I stuffed a heart protection pill into each of them, and coldly ordered, "Take it." Sure enough, seeing that I wasn't friendly to them, the twin brothers' eyes were filled with passionate love, and the favorability above their heads skyrocketed to 20,000. The heart protection pill could ward off demons and protect the soul. Unfortunately, it only had a supporting effect. The important thing was still to rely on each person's will. But, right now, let's give it a try. The sun was 3 poles high. Ding, system notification, a night has passed, 73 players died, 25 players survived. I put down my teacup, my eyes slightly wavering. Isn't there 100 players? Why are there only 98 players added together? Immediately after, the system gave an explanation. Special notification, player Bai Li Qingfeng, player Bai Li Haoyue fell into Schrodinger's death state. I almost spat out the tea in my mouth. What a state of half-life. I hurriedly lifted the curtain to check the condition of the twin brothers. After laying them down on the jade bed, I checked their breathing, felt their hearts, and took their pulses, all of which were normal. The heart protection pills in their mouths had already dissolved, so I hurriedly stuffed 1 more into each of them. If I could save them, my senior sister would be considered to have accumulated immeasurable merit. Anyway, these pills were obtained by me cleaning out my senior sister's alchemy room. After transforming into a rabbit, the air around me was scattered and floating, making it difficult to regulate. Even summoning techniques could not be used, only some small spells could be used temporarily, and my combat power had greatly decreased. The system is despicable, and it also limits the martial value of the little flower. There is no need to blame the system, the other players are the same. After thinking carefully, I decided to continue to attack the little emperor. Jade Fox Ice Heart was in his hands. If I could use my wits to get it, I would not attack. The wind was gentle, the spring scent was strong. I used the Crossdresser card that the system had just issued me, fanned my folding fan, and leisurely entered the palace. Although the emperor did not summon me, I should take the initiative to find an opportunity to please him, right? Lock on the target, take the initiative to attack. I originally planned to enter the palace to make a fuss, but I didn't expect to encounter an assassination attempt at the right time. In the palace, arrows suddenly flew, swords and knives were sharp. The evil cult of the Wuling sect sent a large number of assassins into the palace to assassinate the emperor. It just so happened that I ran into them. I was so lucky. Hiding in the crevice of the rockery, I silently chanted Amitabha Buddha in my heart. I had only chanted it for the 125th time when a blow from behind came. My face turned dark and I fainted. When I woke up, I was lying in a dark, stinking warehouse, my hands and feet tied tightly. The person tied up with me was the little emperor. As prisoners, he had a clean face, elegant demeanor, and his dragon robe was spotless. I was different. My hair was messy, my face was dirty, and my robe was covered in dry mud. I seriously suspected that the thugs had carried him away when they captured the emperor, but when they captured me, they had used a donkey to drag me away. Your Majesty. Shut up. The young man blushed. You and I are both men, I won't allow you to have dark intentions. I was a little stunned. Your Majesty. Nalan Yi shouted, shut up. I've already said, if you dare say anything about living in the same bed, dying in the same grave again, I will exterminate your entire family. Me? Threatening me with strangers again? I didn't even know who my entire family was in the dungeon. Just as I was about to open my mouth, the door creaked open. Two people in white clothes and wearing strange masks drifted in like mist. They were tall and thin, moving quickly, as if they had no legs. Wearing snow-white masks, their narrow and long eyes slanted upwards, their mouths grinning so strangely that it sent chills down one's spine. It was as if the masked people would stretch out their claws and rip out your heart in the next second. I was silently criticizing their masks, when something that shocked me happened. The two disciples brushed off their robes and knelt at my feet without hesitation. Greetings to the sect master, may the sect master shine like the sun, illuminating all directions. Live a long life of 100 years, forever and ever. Time suddenly became silent, every second seemed to drag on endlessly. Under the moonlight, silver dust flew everywhere. I pointed at myself in a daze. You worship me? Nalan Yi tilted his head to look at me, his eyes filled with surprise and anger. He suspected me of being a spy. Ding, congratulations to the player for unlocking a new identity, evil cult leader. You are the 125th generation leader of the witch spirit cult. The witch spirit cult practices evil magic, relying on eating people's souls to increase their cultivation, with the goal of overthrowing the Nalan royal family and establishing themselves as kings. Such an evil sect? I am the cult leader? Sure enough, when going out, identities are all arbitrarily arranged by the system. But in the current situation, it's good that I'm the sect leader, at least I can guarantee temporary safety. Just as I was about to raise my hand to signal my subordinates to stand up, the two masked men stood up first. They sneered, sect leaderly, this is the last time we pay homage to you. Ever since you betrayed, the Wu Lin sect has changed its leader. Today, assassinating the little emperor, capturing you is truly an accident. If you don't quickly reveal the reason for your betrayal, tonight will be the day you die. The situation changed in lightning speed. The system promptly announced, ding, congratulations to the player for unlocking the identity of traitor. You are a traitor of the Wuling sect. 7 days ago, you colluded with the enemy outside to kill the Wuling sect's left envoy, stole the sect's treasure, Fu Quang Chao, and then disappeared without a trace. The Wuling sect considers capturing you to be the most important mission besides overthrowing the Nailin dynasty. I was a little stunned. The system really knows how to play with me. Who did I collude with? When did I betray without me knowing? A new identity has been unlocked. Why aren't you supplementing my past memories? The comment line also collapsed. This plot development, there is no point that I can predict. I guess the system must really hate the little flower, crazily giving her hell mode. I glanced at the little emperor with a doubtful expression. Suddenly an idea came to mind. I pointed at Nailin Yi, and said with deep affection, he is the reason why I betrayed you. I pointed at the masked man's nose, and said righteously, your crimes are the reason why I betrayed you. On one side is a wise king, on the other side is a heinous evil cult, even a dog knows which side to choose. Nailin Yi blushed. But he made an exception and did not tell me to shut up, but turned his head to look at the moon in the sky. After getting the answer, the two envoys angrily said, where is the Fu Quang Chao? How would I know? I made up a story, it was taken away by your new cult leader, didn't he tell you? The two masked envoys were surprised. You mean it was taken away by Duan Yushua? Duan Yushua, wasn't that the name of the Tam Hoa Lang? Wasn't he in the palace's dungeon? Things were getting more and more bizarre. A meteor fell. A meteor streaked across the dark sky, creating a streak of red light. It's time. The young emperor smiled confidently, knowing victory was in his hands. In a flash, outside, the sound of killing was loud, and the fire was raging. The ghostly black shadows seen in the palace that day also appeared. Like ink pouring onto schwanching paper, they poured into the base of the Wuling sect, engulfing the evil cultists. It turned out that the so-called capture was just the emperor's plan. Using the excuse of the evil cult entering the palace to assassinate, Nailin Yi risked his life to destroy the Wuling sect's lair in the suburbs. On the way back to the imperial city, we were ambushed by the remnants of the evil cult. History repeated itself, many cold arrows shot out from the darkness. I hugged the emperor, blocking the most fatal arrow for him. Li Qing, the wound on my shoulder had not yet healed. In order to save the little emperor, I was hit by an arrow in the stomach. My pale face was reflected in his clear eyes. Your Majesty, I have saved you twice, how could it be? Before I could finish, my fluffy rabbit ears were revealed along with the scattered air currents. Immediately afterwards, the crossdresser card also expired. My black hair like a waterfall fell down, my robe was loose. Nailin Yi was surprised, you are a woman? The comment stream became lively.
Ah.
Bai Lian Hua is so beautiful. Bai Lian Hua's eyes are as bright as stars, the little emperor is staring at her in a daze. Waha, let me match you up. Friend above, here's a pen. Quickly match me up to death. Boo-hoo-hoo. Finally found out that she's a woman, I looked at him with sparkling eyes, sweat beading on my forehead, my small, skinny hands tightly grasped his collar, trying to ask, can you promise me one thing? Before I could finish, in his confused eyes, I fainted. When I woke up again, I was lying on the dragon bed. The midday sun was shining brightly, and Nailin Yi was sitting behind the desk, reading a book attentively. It seemed that I had slept for a long time. Whether the bitter plan would work or not, I would have to see if he would give me the Jade Fox Ice Heart later. Cough, I coughed softly, pretending to wake up. Nailin Yi heard the noise and hurriedly ran over. Li Qing, Li Qing? I rubbed my eyes. Your Majesty, the young emperor smiled and grabbed my hand. I know what you want, I will fulfill your wish. I happily said, thank you, Your Majesty, I want the Jade Fox Ice Heart. Nailin Yi was stunned. I made up a story about being poisoned by a demon and gradually mutating. Without this royal treasure, I would quickly die. I wasn't exactly lying. If I completely mutated into a demon, the system would judge me dead. Since he saved him twice, can I borrow the treasure and use it for a bit? The comment sighed, everyone look at the little emperor's eyes, it seems like he's broken. Sigh, just sent my true feelings, and already found out that my true feelings were misplaced. Are the people above really into it? NPCs are just a piece of code. No matter how stupid a player is, they should prioritize preserving their lives. Don't NPCs have feelings? Even if everyone says I'm love-brained, I really can't stand the sight of my heart being broken. My heart tightened. The comment was right. Na Lan Yi heard my words, his body swayed slightly, and he was stunned for a moment. Perhaps, he considered the 2 times I saved him as an act of infatuation. Perhaps, he had previously considered and speculated, how deep must one's love be, for me to risk my life to save him twice? He didn't know that I saved him, essentially to save myself. Just when I thought, he might get angry and leave. The young emperor suddenly spoke, I understand. I agree with you. Jade Fox Ice Heart was actually a painting. Moreover, it was a very ordinary painting. No matter how you looked at it, it didn't look like a treasure. The Imperial Guard carefully lifted the painting and respectfully handed it to me. The little emperor spoke in a businesslike tone, you saved me twice, I'll lend it to you for 3 days. I quickly thanked him. After thanking him, I happily and meticulously studied the treasure painting in my hand. Sometimes I frowned in doubt, sometimes I was deep in thought, my rabbit ears also swayed with my mood. Without paying attention, that young man actually stroked my ears. When he saw my surprise, his fingers froze in midair. A moment later the corner of his mouth revealed a smile, so soft. I glared at him, hugged the painting and hid in a corner, searching for a way to resolve the mutation under the sunlight. I ate lunch with the little emperor. The food was delicious, so delicious that it made my mouth water. But he didn't eat, he just smiled and watched me eat. At first, I was still eating and drinking happily, my rabbit ears wagging, but after I discovered that he was looking at me, I suddenly felt ashamed. The little emperor isn't moved, right? I'm sorry. Just because I want to live, I deceived someone else's feelings. I really deserve to die. On a beautiful spring day, after eating my fill, I hugged the painting and went out into the sun, sitting on the ground. The young emperor was concentrating on approving memorials, occasionally approving a few sentences, occasionally waving his pen like a dragon and phoenix dancing to write the word approval. When I was at the minister's office, I had heard my father's NPC mention a few sentences, saying that His Majesty was wise, worried about the people, and had a strategy. Now it seemed that he was also very diligent. Wan He and Ing Shi, 2 little palace maids, one lit a fire to make tea, the other held a fan to chase butterflies. The spring breeze blew gently, blowing a few pear blossoms. The scent of pear blossoms, the scent of dried plum tea, mixed with the scent of ink, spread in the air. In this horror copy, I actually felt leisurely and relaxed, my soul was at peace. Miss, the tea is ready. When he smiled brightly like a flower, when he smiled, his dimples appeared. He didn't look like a monster at all. Ing Shi was the same, the little emperor was the same, they all looked like real people. No different from us players. The light on my fingertip disappeared, and the ancient painting had no reaction. Because I had used up too much energy, I was dizzy and my whole body was covered in sweat. This was already my 10th attempt. The comments were skeptical, this Ice Heart Jade Fox isn't a fake, right? No way, the little emperor looks as pure as the cool breeze and clear moon, he can't do such a thing. Even the final boss dares to believe it? I'm worried that Bai Lian Hua will be fooled. Is there any audience who watched it first and can help answer the question? A viewer named Ali jumped out, sisters, you really asked the right person, I've seen Tangshan clear this instance. Ice Heart Jade Fox is a jade bottle. Inside is hidden an ice crystal that will never melt. Only a fool would believe it's a painting. The other comments suddenly came to their senses. Bai Lianhua was really fooled. What should I do? This swindler Nailin Yi, believing in the final boss, was really wrong. Boo hoo hoo, everyone look. She's grown white fur on her body. System, please let her live. I've watched her live stream 5 times already. I really can't bear to see her die. I touched my wrist. At some point a layer of soft rabbit fur had grown. The demonization was serious. Fooled? I muttered. Unexpectedly, as soon as I raised my head, I met Nailinya's deep eyes, like a raging tornado. Do you suspect me of fooling you? The young man asked coldly. I'm the emperor. Why would I fool a little rabbit demon like you? I bit my lip and didn't answer. He was also silent. Between us, it seemed like a chasm suddenly appeared, separating us. So close, yet so far beyond the horizon. With Na Lanye's tacit consent, I brought the ancient painting back to the Lang Palace that evening. As soon as I got home, I gave each of the Bailey brothers a heart protection pill. The 2 of them had not changed at all since I left. I myself also took the healing pill, and the wounds on my body quickly healed. Just as I was bathing, a gentle breeze blew by. In the hazy mist, the Ice Heart Jade Fox on the table disappeared. The fog was thick, the willow branches were like smoke. I stepped on the leaves flying in the air along the riverbank, chasing after them, getting closer and closer to the figure that stole the painting. Tun quiet, borrow the green branches. On the riverbank, the willow branches drooped down, trying to shield me, but because I was losing my spiritual power, those green branches and leaves also became weak. After a while of struggling, I finally stopped the thief at the ferry. He was wearing a strange mask. He was from the Vu Lin sect. Seeing me rushing towards him, from a distance, the evil cultist pulled out an ancient painting from his chest. Fire erupted, licking the scroll. His skinny fingertips tightly grasped the remaining half of the scroll, raised it high. The remaining half was burning fiercely. After whistling maliciously at me, he suddenly threw the scroll into the air. The scroll burned fiercely and flew away, ashes flying everywhere. Magic? I gathered my energy into my fingertips, brought it up to my eyes, and a golden light flashed in my eyes. Break the spell. What was burned was not an ancient painting, but rather a cluster of dry leaves. This cunning thief dared to trick me. I chanted as I ran, cold decision, heavenly veins roaming. The ground beneath the masked man's feet immediately rose up, shaking as if it had a spirit. He panicked, jumped into the water, and disappeared. I couldn't swim, my rabbit ears stood up, and I anxiously ran around the shore. While I was feeling frustrated, I suddenly saw a white-clothed figure floating on the river. Great, you bastard! So you also can't swim, and were washed back to me by the waves. Cold decision, demon subduing vine. A vine shot out, wrapping around that person. Looking closely, it was Shanine again. I took the demon monk back to the minister's residence. After giving him medicine, I took good care of him. While closing my eyes to change his wet clothes, I wondered, how did such a strong player end up like this? Unexpectedly, when I opened my eyes, I was faced with a pair of smiling eyes. Long time no see, Li Kuei. The demon monk stretched out comfortably. Luckily I met you, otherwise I would have been eaten by a crocodile. Although he said that, he did not seem afraid at all after escaping death. I poured him a cup of hot poo. Tea, curiously asking, why were you in the river? The demon monk took a sip of tea, smilingly holding up a painting. To help you fish this out. In his hand was the ancient painting that the emperor had lent me. I was extremely happy. It turned out that when I was fighting with the masked man, he had seen it. He jumped into the water to help me snatch the painting back. He didn't drown at all. Pretending to faint was just to tease me. I said thank you. Just as I was about to reach out to take it, I caught a glimpse of his slender legs, which had not yet turned into a snake tail. Thinking back, that stormy afternoon, the demon monk I met wore a red robe, moving with a snake tail. He wasn't him. The Shinin in front of me wasn't the demon monk I met at the Gontang Palace that day. I couldn't help but take a step back, cautiously probing. Sorry, I took 200,000 gold coins from you before, it wasn't my intention. The demon monk blew on the teacup, steam rising. I only heard him calmly say, "You're talking about the 100 Ghosts dream instance. It was Xiao Tao Shi, it wasn't your fault. Moreover, you've already returned the money to me a long time ago." It was him. It was the Shinin I knew. Feeling more at ease, he quickly took the soaked ancient painting and carefully dried it. While drying it, he heard a weak voice from inside the room, as if someone was talking privately. He went to the door and looked in, and it turned out that the twins had woken up. At this moment, I, who had turned into a rabbit, the demon monk who had just been pulled out of the river, and the two Bailey brothers who had just escaped from the Schrodinger's death state, sat around the table, studying this painting. The two brothers studied for a long time. Bailey Qingfeng sighed, "Fake, you were fooled by that emperor. Bailey, how you sneered, you know it's a lake by the name, the final boss gave you a painting and could fool you?" Tisk, after waking up, the two of them no longer remembered me. The favorability above their heads also disappeared. It was good not to remember, but it was embarrassing to remember. Shinin closed his eyes and chanted a spell. After a while he frowned and said, "In the space-time we are in, we cannot find the Ice Heart Jade Fox." The two brothers speculated that in order to destroy the players, Na Lanyi did not hesitate to destroy the Ice Heart Jade Fox. Furthermore, they firmly believed that the Ice Lake Jade Heart must be a lake. In the end, Shinin suggested opening the space-time vortex. If the Ice Lake Jade Heart in this space-time was lost, then retrieve the Ice Lake Jade Heart from the past timeline. It had been 4 days since the game started. As long as we went back 4 days, the Ice Lake Jade Heart would definitely still be there. Could it be that the game hadn't even started yet, and the player's lifeline had already been blocked by the final boss? What do you think? The three people's 6 eyes looked at me in unison. I shook my ears, okay. I was surprised. I didn't expect you guys to have such overbearing skills. Bailey Qingfeng is good at playing the zither, Bailey Haoyue is good at playing the flute. They are geniuses of the Bailey family, people with innate abilities, good at attacking with sound waves. They join forces, using all their spiritual power, they can open a space-time vortex in a short time. The sound of cicadas and frogs in spring is drowned out by the melody, the cold moonlight shines down on a silver area. The corridor is misty, the plum blossom petals flutter. The garden is like a fairyland in Yaoqi. In the soaring melody, a giant golden vortex opens up in front of us. Go! Shinin holds my hand, jumping into the vortex. In just 1 second. The vortex closes. If we are a little slower, we will be torn into 4 pieces. We returned 10 days ago, this is the current limit of the two Bailey brothers. Any further, they can't do it. Go. Go to the palace to steal the Ice Heart Jade Lake? No, Shinin shook his head, go to the Wuling sect and get the Fu Guang Pearl. Time travel is already extremely difficult, and becoming a demon will weaken the twin brothers' strength. We need the Fu Guang Pearl to maintain the stability of space-time. Otherwise, before we get the Jade Lake, we would have been torn apart in the space-time rift. As expected, Shinin was the second highest ranked god on the rankings. He knew a lot of things that I didn't know. For a moment, I felt a little admiration. One rainy spring night, we arrived at the Wu Lin sect's lair on the outskirts of the capital. Then and planned to sneak in. As for me, Suddenly, an idea came to mind. I am the sect leader of the Vu Lin sect. At this time, I had not stolen the pearl or killed anyone, let alone betrayed. After using the male disguise card, I led them into the mountain gate. Sure enough, the sect members guarding the gate knelt down on the ground. Welcome, sect leader. May the sect leader shine like the sun and the moon, shining forever. Live a long life, live forever. Under the An's astonished gaze, I led him leisurely into the mountain gate of the Vu Lin evil sect, easily tricking him into taking the Fu Kuang pearl. In the secret room, something happened. The left envoy in charge of guarding the pearl stopped us. He said doubtfully, "Sect leader, it's not that your subordinate doesn't trust you. The Fu Kuang pearl is the treasure of our sect. How could you just take it away?" As soon as he finished speaking, a Buddhist pearl from Shenin smashed his head. I widened my eyes. The demon monk walked further and further away, smiling as he turned his head to look at me. "Are you scared? This person raped 56 women and killed over 100 children when he was alive. Do you know how he climbed to the position of left envoy? He's different from you, he wasn't assigned by the system." The murderous aura in his hand, even if you used up all the water from the Tianqi Lake on Changbai Mountain, you still wouldn't be able to wash it away. Amitabha, this kind monk sent him to hell, helping him pay his debt early. Isn't that a good thing? Shenin smiled, reaching out to me. "Girl, are you my teammate?" I ran towards him. "Step into the light with him." A few days later, because I had stolen the pearl and betrayed him, Duan Yushua had just logged into the game and was nominated as the new sect leader. The third-ranked scholar trembled as he sat on the throne. As soon as he took office, he was given a difficult task by the elders. When he entered the palace for an audience, assassinate the young emperor. As for his performance, I saw it on the day of the audience. This task was indeed too difficult for him. Compared to assassination, he probably preferred to stay in prison. After obtaining the Fu Guang Zhou, Shenin and I broke into the national treasury once, intending to steal the Ice Heart Jade Fox. The result was failure. Worse still, we were seriously injured, and ate all the medicine. If we were at our peak, this theft might not have been difficult. However, our demonization became more and more serious. My entire head had turned into a rabbit, and my skin was covered in white fur. Shenin, as expected, had turned into a white snake tail. His white robe had turned red. When we stole the treasure, we had alerted the guards. In order to avoid being chased, we split up and fled. I ran to the emperor's bedchamber and hid behind the curtain. In the midst of the storm, I pricked up my ears and heard him and the secret guards discussing how to destroy the Vu Lin evil cult. I heard him and the ministers discussing tax reduction, exemption from corvée labor, development of irrigation, trade. He was truly a good emperor. The rain and storm gradually stopped. I went to the abandoned Kamduong Palace to pick up the demon monk. Then we should go. Seeing my past self looking at us with admiration, I thought to myself, "You fool, you will have a companion, soon. By the way, take her 2 bottles of medicine." The rain just stopped, the sunset was red. I put away the umbrella and went with the demon monk. Then Anne's fair and jade-like face suddenly turned red. "Cough," he coughed lightly. "Just now you and I didn't know it was you. I wanted to scare someone away. Who would have thought it was?" He rarely stuttered like that. I smiled, raised my index finger to my lips to signal silence, then pointed deep into the water grass. "Look, a red-crowned crane." We stopped quietly. The sky was dyed red with the color of dusk, thin clouds drifted, and cranes flew high in the sky. A feeling of boundless freedom and great spirit rose in my heart. My eyes followed the birds flying far away, the sunset reflected on the water flowing to the east. The treasury was originally a difficult place to invade, but I thought of an opportunity. After Na Lan Yi destroyed the evil cult of Wu Ling, because I risked my life to save him twice, he promised to lend me the Ice Heart Jade Lake for 3 days. At that time, the treasury would open, and the traps would be turned off. The people in charge of retrieving the treasure were the little emperor's 2 trusted guards, Fei Xing and Qing Yang. We could take this opportunity to steal the treasure. Although those 2 guards were not pushovers, this was the best opportunity for Shinin and I. Everything went according to plan. Shinin used the invisibility technique. The 2 of us held our breaths, focused our minds, and quietly followed the 2 guards, smoothly entering the treasury. The treasury inside was sparkling, resplendent with colors. Right in the middle, placed solemnly on the altar, was a scroll painting. On the pure white Xuanqing paper gilded with gold, a lovely, round jade vase was meticulously drawn with a calligraphy technique. I don't know what kind of paint and brushwork was used, but the vase looked so lifelike. The entire painting exuded a spiritual aura, a sparkling light, making people feel happy when they looked at it. The 2 guards bowed 3 times towards the ancient painting, then carefully lifted the painting up and walked out of the National Treasury. So, Jade Lake Ice Heart was really a painting. I made a seal, pointed at the painting. A point of ice heart in the painting suddenly floated out, like a long river of many colors. A stream of pure, flexible light was stored in the middle of my forehead. The magical painting immediately lost its light, becoming ordinary and unremarkable. It turned out that the little emperor didn't lie to me. It turned out that the ice heart in the painting had been taken away by me. He trusted me, lending me the treasure that had been passed down for many generations. Yet I doubted him, letting others slander him. Thinking back to that day when I questioned him, his broken eyes and disbelief, my heart suddenly ached. "Why are you crying?" Shinin looked at me worriedly. Touching my face, it turned out that I was in tears. The angry comments, "The little emperor didn't lie. Where is that guy who said Jade Fox was a vase? Come out and explain quickly. Where is a lie?" He pretended to know even though he didn't understand, making me misunderstand the little emperor. Oh my God, did everyone notice? A lie isn't a lying? He's implying that he's lying. Tuong then has never played this instance before. Hoo. The big boss actually gave the treasure to Little White Flower. What kind of trust is this? Shinin and I successfully obtained the ice heart in the Jade Lake. After returning safely, the time spent in this space was only about half an incense stick. During that long period of time, we healed ourselves, healed the Bailey brothers, healed all the players they could find. Our demonic phenomenon disappeared, and our spiritual power gradually recovered. The system notification also changed. Ding, 1 night passed, the number of dead players is 0, the number of surviving players is 100. All survived. The ice heart of the Jade Lake is indeed the key to player survival. After 3 days, I placed the pure, flexible ice heart back into the painting. The ancient painting immediately shone brightly, with spiritual energy swirling around. I entered the palace to return the ancient painting, and also wanted to apologize to Nailin Yi. As I approached the Baohe Palace, my steps were light, my heart filled with joy and excitement. I wanted to tell him right away that I knew I had misunderstood him, wanted to apologize to him right away, wanted to express my sincere gratitude. The golden oriole chirped under the leaves, the wind blew through the pear tree, and the scent of flowers wafted from my robe. Your Majesty, I have come to return the painting. I knelt down in the middle of the hall, respectfully presenting the painting. But I saw that he was holding a purple-red scroll, coldly reading, Li Kuei. Character identity, newly graduated top scholar, former leader of an evil cult. Skills, possesses immortal bones, proficient in spells, talismans, and summoning techniques. You are a player. How many identities are you hiding from me? His deep eyes were filled with pain, coldly questioning, I see you as a friend, what do you see me as? The scroll was thrown hard to the ground. It rolled out, opened in front of my knees. I vaguely saw the player's information written on it, Shanine, by Li Qing Feng, by Li Haoyu, Duan Yu Shua. I raised my head and said, I also see you as a friend. I'm sorry, Na Lan Yi, I shouldn't have doubted you before. Now I know that the jade fox ice heart you lent me is real, I apologize to you. The young emperor sat high on the throne, a trace of emotion flashed in his eyes, but was quickly covered by coldness. You said you see me as a friend? Okay. I order you to lead troops to exterminate the players, no delay. I was shocked in my heart, looking at him in surprise. I can't. All right, if you don't go. The young emperor stopped looking at me. After a while, he heavily raised his hand and said, someone, escort them down. I wanted to resist. But my spiritual power had not yet fully recovered. After a while of struggling, the pitch-black darkness still swallowed me. When I woke up, I was in the dungeon. Opposite were two old friends, Feng Ling and Duan Yu Shua. Their demonization process was still at the stage when I first met them, maybe because their understanding of the game was still at that time, or because their wills were very strong. As prisoners, I was treated much better. The cell was comfortable, the food was delicious, and the guards were attentive. Compared to me, Bang Nan and Tam Hoa were really pitiful. Feng Ling looked at me every day. Miss, you look very familiar, have we met somewhere before? Duan Yushua glanced at him. Even though you're in prison, you still don't forget to flirt with girls. I smiled at them. Bang Nan is really sharp-eyed, I'm the new top scholar. Tam Hoa Lang, is your position as the leader of the evil cult still okay? Feng Ling was stunned. Duan Yushua was stunned. 3 days later, the palace shook violently. Rubble and tiles fell like rain, followed by the ground shaking. Duan Yushua cursed loudly, this is truly a shoddy construction. Feng Ling held his head, an earthquake, an earthquake. I tightly grasped the iron bars of the prison. It's not an earthquake, something big happened above. The loud explosions continued, as if the sky was falling and the earth was collapsing. What the hell happened? I focused my mind and circulated my energy. For the past 3 days, I had been practicing regulating my energy, and my strength had almost completely recovered. Boom, I broke the iron bars of the prison, raised my hand and made a seal, a mortal crane lead. A crane flew out from the void, its huge body piercing through the dome. The crane's wings flapped loudly, and I flew onto its back, dragging the bewildered Bang Nan and Tam Hoa along. While their terrified screams were heard, I rushed away. We're saved? Feng Ling asked. I'm not dreaming, right? Duan Yushua cried like rain, boo-hoo-hoo. We can actually fly. This is so cool. Players gathered, attacking the palace in droves. Among them, some wanted to save me, some wanted to satisfy their desire to kill, some wanted to win. The palace was in ruins, the fire was raging. The young emperor's robe was covered in blood, countless wounds. His handsome face was covered in blood, the long sword in his hand was broken. He was cornered. Half of his body was leaning against a stone pillar. Nailan Yi had sword-like eyebrows and phoenix eyes, facing the approaching players, coldly saying, you guys. Call us NPCs. In your eyes, we are just a string of data, we can kill, we should kill. But, the NPCs in your eyes, are my subjects. They are living beings. Although they can grow tentacles, feathered ears, snake tails, and eagle claws in the dark. But they also love life like humans. Plowing deeply, hoeing hard, reciting poems, playing chess, playing the zither and making tea. They have love, have soulmates, and have families. They have never harmed anyone, but your repeated invasions have caused them to die unjustly thousands of times, and their loved ones to be separated thousands of times. I am willing to fight for my people. Never retreat. Fight until my last breath. After Na Lanyi finished speaking, he tightly gripped his long sword, trying to stand up. But he was exhausted. A player raised his bow, aimed at his heart, and shot an arrow. Whoosh, the arrow tore through the air and flew over Na Lanyi. I rode the crane and flew over. Jumped off the crane's back, blocking in front of him. My entire body's spiritual power exploded, shattering the arrow. All the players were shocked and took a few steps back. Is it you? The young man was shocked. I shielded him behind me, my hands forming seals, my eyes burning. If you want to kill him, kill me first. Li Kuai, you're crazy. By Li, how you roared. Who are you? A red-headed guy sneered, a little brat, dares to act so powerfully in front of me? Another player cursed, whoever saves the big boss today and stops me from clearing the game, I will kill that person. Humph, kill this little girl first, then slaughter the little emperor, clear the game and earn money. Shinin sneered, waving a folding fan that he didn't know where he got it from, mocking the red-headed guy. You ask who she is? She's your savior. After saying that, he stood beside me. I support you. Bai Li Qingfeng put away the Fushi zither, and pulled Bai Li Haoyu to stand beside me. I only heard him say, that's right, if Li Kuai and Shinin hadn't brought back Jade Fox Ice Heart, you guys would have been a pile of corpses by now. Haoyu was about to get angry, but was glared at by Qingfeng. Idiot, have you forgotten that you died once? I'll explain it to you when we get back. Qingfeng patted my shoulder. Although I don't want to admit it, I have never forgotten those shameful memories. Haoyu and I each owe you a life. We will support you. Auntie, it's you. Jean Qianbao squeezed out from the crowd, unexpectedly met. My Bao family supports you. Lan Sansan wore a princess outfit, happily leading a group of Xietang's fans to separate the crowd. Sister Kai, we're here too. If it weren't for you, we would have died again. We support you. Zheng San stretched out from the corner of the wall, his tentacles swung up, knocking down the screaming red-haired guy. What a coincidence. Idol, I followed you into this dungeon. I've been looking for you for days but haven't seen your figure. I didn't expect to meet you here. And me too. The folding fan in Xinyin's hand suddenly transformed, turning into Duanmu Qing, sigh. I had planned to quietly survive until victory. But if I don't stand up and support you now, it would be really unrighteous. Fong Ling and Duan Yushua staggered up from the crane's back, and also stood by my side. You saved us. Even though we don't understand the situation yet, we still support you. I laughed with tears in my eyes. Okay. It was not in vain that we had treated you with all our heart along the way. And yet he made so many good friends. I helped the young emperor up. Nailin Yi, don't worry. Before I die in battle, you absolutely won't die. Why, save me? He asked gloomily, tears glistening in his eyes. I opened my arms to hug him, because you're also my friend. The red-haired man got up from the ground, angrily saying, so, just relying on a few of you, you dare to fight against so many of us? Another one-eyed player sneered, do you know, if in the game, I kill you, it's not illegal? I sneered, casting a spell, just relying on you. I raised my hand to chant, shock spell, thunderous wrath. Crack, dark clouds rolled, thunder rumbled in the sky. Thunder boomed from the ninth heaven. With a loud bang, the players who were screaming and killing were all struck by lightning and nearly died. The heart of the fox! In an instant, the wind and clouds changed color, and a fierce wind rose. A giant nine-tailed fox tore through the air and jumped out, leisurely stepping on the one-eyed man under its feet. The one-eyed man burst into tears. After a moment of silence, all the players spoke in unison, "We won't fight anymore." 20 I've said that every player has their own skills. Some do construction, some grow flowers and plants, some weave fabrics, some grow rice. Each of them displayed their unique skills, and increased production. In just half a month, already, tall buildings rose from the ground, lush green trees. Silk dresses embroidered with brocade, rice flowers swaying in the cool breeze. We stayed in the dungeon for another half a month, rebuilding everything that had been destroyed. Some players with lively personalities became friends with NPCs, not only working together, but also making friends to go on spring outings. They even made appointments to see chrysanthemums in the fall and snow in the winter. No one mentioned killing the little emperor to clear the game anymore. Half a month later, the Bailey brothers opened the space-time whirlpool. Nalan Yi cut his finger, using dragon blood to let the players leave one by one. The whirlpool glowed golden, dragon energy swirled around. Before I entered the whirlpool, the young emperor suddenly spoke, his voice like broken ice, "Li Kuei. Are you coming back again?" I turned my head. In the bright spring weather, Nalan Yi was lonely. In his clear eyes, it seemed like there were countless words he wanted to say. I smiled and said, "Of course. I still have to go back to drink Wanhe's tea, catch butterflies with Ying Shi, and travel the mountains and rivers with you." I leaned close to his ear and whispered a sentence. Then, I turned around and jumped into the whirlpool. Tears glistened in the young man's eyes. "Okay." The spring wind blew by. He stood alone under the pear tree, pear petals falling all over his body and head. Side story: the game lobby sent out an announcement. Ding, the dungeon new master of the royal examination has been successfully cleared. The game rewards have been sent to the player's account, please check. This time, the dungeon was cleared, all players survived. Due to the low mortality rate, the system has changed new master of the royal examination to a farming and nurturing dungeon. Welcome players who love nurturing to join the experience. The players and spectators in the lobby were all stunned. Everyone was talking excitedly. What the? Did I hear that right? All survived. Isn't this an SS rank dungeon? This is an SS rank dungeon. A rank dungeon has already killed many people, SS rank dungeon has everyone surviving? I'm shocked. Only after living for so long, the system must have crashed. New champion has turned into a nurturing game? Sounds interesting, I want to try it. You know what you want to try. I know how to grow watermelons. I like embroidery. I want to go into the dungeon and open an embroidery shop. Wow, my burnt red lion head is the best. I want to open a tavern. This is so much fun. I've wanted to try playing dungeons for a long time. But they're all horror, I'm afraid of dying. This time I can play too. Growl, me too. Duan Muqing approached and asked, "Sister Kuei, what did you whisper to the little emperor?" Don't think I didn't see it. I drank my strawberry milk and said with a smile, I said someday, when the system isn't paying attention, I'll trick him into coming to our world to play. And tell him that our strawberry milk is delicious. Raising my head, the gentle sunlight covered my entire body. It gave me a feeling of happiness and ease, just like that beautiful afternoon not long ago. Na Lan Yi, I can do what I say. What's the best way to treat friends? Of course, a piece of ice in a jade lake. End of Part 5, Part 6, Miss Jenny.